Well, hello again, awesomers. It's me. It's your old buddy Steve Simonson, and I've got great news. I'm back, and we're doing another Awesomers podcast. And the segment today's segment is part of the longer Founder Foundations miniseries. Now, the truth is, and I'm giving you kind of a mid-month peek into what I'm doing. I'm giving you kind of a blueprint or layout for how you train yourself on the subject matters that I've outlined and how you train your leadership team. And I'm giving you kind of the kind of top level view of the situation, or at least the subject matter. The objective here is so that you don't have to wonder about, gosh, what should I start with? And then what should I work on next? Both for yourself and for your team. This is kind of a tried and true methodology to get basis of understanding, kind of level set on your core principles, and then move into different functions of your business. So for the first several segments of this mini series, we talked about the literal foundations, your own beliefs, your own values, your own principles, and how to articulate those and how to put those together in such a way that it puts your business on a very clear goal, right? There's milestones for your strategic objective. You have a nice articulatable. Yeah, if I can't articulate articulable, then we got a problem. You have a nice story that is easy to articulate. Try it that way. And other elements of your, finding your why and so on and so forth. Then we're moving into just kind of a baseline of let's get marketing introduced to yourself from a philosophical perspective, and then we'll get more tactical later. And all of these things can apply both to an executive or founder or anybody who is in the leadership team. Now, we're going to continue today's marketing introduction. So this is a sub-segment, if you will. And we're going to talk a little bit about why we dive deeper into customer bias and behaviors instead of just staying with the general principles of the avatar and the geographic targets that we've already covered. Each of these being check marks towards a very firm understanding of our core mission and therefore our core kind of behaviors and even tasks that we must accomplish to produce the output that we intend vis-a-vis the strategic objective. I do think customer bias and behaviors is an important one because, again, I'll use the e-commerce mindset. We will often look at our competition and we will identify some gap that their product either creates as a problem and could be overcome, or some gap that it lacks, and that same concept of overcoming the gap could be now making your product more feature rich. This applies to services as well. If you are an agency or some sort of service provider and you say, golly, everybody is offering, let's just say a DIY product, and you can somehow offer a done for you product with a rational price point, that could really disrupt that entire segment of the market that you're in. So no matter what type of business, it doesn't matter if you're in e-commerce or manufacturing, service providing, any of these things, sales, it's all applicable. And, we talked a little bit earlier about the psychographics, and I referred to the Prism graphics as one brand of psychographic modeling. And I really do encourage you guys to go Google it and learn a little bit about it and figure out if there's a way for you to, to kind of look at your own audience and understand it through some of the third-party services that can take your data set and apply some data appendings to it. So this is beyond just here's an email or here is a physical address to start marketing to. This goes into the psychology of what makes people buy. And there are lots of great books. I love the book Persuasion. That is a wonderful breakdown of the psychosomatic process that people go through to make a purchase. And remember, despite all of the whiz bang new, methods of, customer journey and this and that, like it's all a funnel, right? It starts with nobody knowing you, and then it moves down farther and farther as you go to, hey, awareness. You start to become aware, or you've heard of this company, or it's interrupting you with an ad. Then you're trying to move them farther down towards a purchase. So you're trying to find hooks and ways of motivating them. You're trying to find some angle to get your product to appear to be more as a fun, fun way to solve the problem. Let's say it's a kid's toy. So my kids are going to have more fun with this product. So that brings product acceptance towards their brain by saying, oh, my kid's going to have more fun with this. Or my kid's going to be more safe with this product. It has less potential to hurt them. All of these are psychological things. And some of these are more on the subconscious level, and some are more on the conscious level. And I think that's the point of this part of the kind of training process, is that you should really spend some time, especially people in marketing, right? If you're responsible for marketing, or any of your team members are in the marketing, they should have some sort of curriculum designed around how do you determine what is, a good customer buying experience? How do you determine what the customer psychology is going to tell you in terms of product design, in terms of pricing? And there are, kind of two minds. The conscious mind is the one that starts being very logical. And it's like, I can afford this, I can't afford this. This looks fun, it doesn't look fun. This is, would be a great value to my business, or this lacks value. It's a kind of a very logical thing. Then there are the less conscious aspects. And this is where it's a left brain, right brain scenario. What you can conceive and calculate, that's the conscious mind. That's where you're really getting into what I believe is the left brain. The right brain is that more creative and unconscious side that is essentially saying, is there any risk to me in the world that I'm living in, right? If I buy this product, is there some chance that I would get fear from this? So I want to avoid it. Is there some chance that, I could be embarrassed if I owned this, right? Maybe you got some, remember those old t-shirts where it's like a bikini, right? It's a very, let's say, lurid t-shirt, and people would wear those. But some people might not want to wear that because they would risk being ridiculed or otherwise embarrassed. Some people may want to avoid purchasing your product because it will give them some weird association with their past, right? They don't have a sense of tangible, like, I don't like this, but it reminds them of something, even subconsciously, and they therefore avoid it. Now, listen, you can't manage every possible thing, right? Everybody's got some sort of baggage. You can't manage every single thing, but if your product conjures up some generalized unconscious stimuli, then you really need to be, I think, aware of that. And to whatever extent it makes it better for the customer and more attractive to the customer, you want to double down on it. And anything that, creates a sense of, I don't want this, or otherwise known as maybe avoidance, then you want to open yourself up to creating a difference in that product so that you avoid even the unconscious things. So remember that there's the, left and right brain aspect of this. How's the quality? How's the, functionality? All of the things that are about calculations and about very clear things. Can I afford this? How does this compare to its competition in terms of price, quality, value, etc.? And the simplest things, like, does this work the way I want it to, right? All of these things are a conscious level, and that's the left brain work. And the right brain is saying, hey, no, I feel that this is not right for me. And maybe you can pin down what that feeling is, and maybe you can't. By the way, we'll may come back to the left brain, right brain problem later on, but the right brain is that that always on part of your brain. It's that part that is your gut feel. Unfortunately, it's not connected to the vocabulary side of your brain, which is on the other side of the brain. And so it creates this situation. If you've ever been in a situation where you've said, I don't like this, but I can't tell you why, that's kind of your gut feel. That's simply because the alarms are going off on the right side of your brain, but it lacks the connectivity to the verbal and the communication side to explain exactly why it doesn't like it. And this can manifest itself in many, many different ways. So my whole point is your next milestone is to be able to study, anything that can help you focus on attracting customers and diminishing or minimizing, in any case, potential ways that they might try to avoid your product. And just thinking about that from a psychological basis helps you start to work on the parts of your business that are most important to you, right? What you believe about your product and why people should buy it is very much irrelevant. And I do think that people get caught up in, well, gosh, I made this. This is how we feel internally. It's like, well, gosh, it looks really good to me. I made this. I don't understand why people don't want it. Well, we're so wrapped up into our own product that we honestly don't see it in a fair and objective way. That's just the truth of it. And so figuring out what is the external way people view this, and having, I would say, a pragmatic, unbiased approach to it. And in fact, it often will help to have outside people, whether they're known to you, which carries some risk, by the way. Sometimes when you talk to people that you know and you're like, what do you think about this? There are some that want to please you. And so they'll tell you things that may or may not, well, those people tend to be more positive. And then there's other people who are like, oh, they're coming to me for my advice, so I better come up with a reason why I don't like this to show that I'm adding value. And of course, some of those people are just a-holes. But my point is, if you're too close to it yourself, or your network where you're asking for opinions is too close, you actually are not doing yourself any service of information, by voir direing that audience. What I would highly recommend is that you find, some methodology, whether there are lots of services that can do this for you, where you're sending it out and you're getting unbiased feedback, and by the way, you could do this, you can make a sample run of 100 units or 200 units, which we've done many times. We put it in the hands of either top reviewers or, people who are willing to do a real hard look at it and write a report about it. We'll pay some small, reasonable amount of money for it. Sometimes they can just be bloggers, right? You pay them $40-50 plus a free product, and they'll come back to you with all the things that are wrong with your product, or the little subtleties that you may not have ever paid attention to. And this can really, really help you overcome these, kind of built-in biases that our customers have. Customers behave as a result of their existing bias, and you're understanding that from a psychological basis. I'm not suggesting you go get a psychology degree. I'm suggesting you get serious about understanding how the human mind works. And you can do that through books and videos and this and that. Again, I cannot tell you how much I love the book Persuasion, because it talks about the so subtle details. And one of these goes back a ways, but when the internet was first starting, the background on a particular website changed the propensity to buy by like 8 times. And again, forgive me, maybe it's by 4 times, maybe it's by 12 times, but the significance of that single tiny nuanced variable was so big because customer bias and the related behaviors because of some of those bias, both conscious and unconscious, are things that need to be thought about and learned about and paid attention to, especially as you get more and more sophisticated marketing. By the way, for those who are saying, well, gosh, I just do A/B testing, Steve, I don't have to think about any of this stuff. Fair enough, but all of the reasons why things test A/B one way or another are because of these reasons. So the farther and at a more nascent level you understand these things, the better those tests will go, and the higher quality the results and iterations of each of those tests will become. So anyway, customer bias and behaviors, that's the next piece of the Founder Foundation's mini-series, everybody. I hope this is valuable. Please, if you haven't already, subscribe and share and click the like and go ahead and leave us a comment so we know how we're doing. I read a lot of those comments and I do read every review. So this is a good time for you to go to leave a nice review. 5 stars. I ain't afraid to beg. Thanks, everybody. See you later. Bye-bye.